Well, folks, I now know what live TV is like. So we're getting our speakers pulled into the session. I hope, obviously, if you're hearing this, you've managed to find it, and I hope everybody else will join as well. A couple of things that I want to emphasize. The flow of today is talking about barriers to civility, applying civility. Tomorrow we're going to talk about grassroots civility, and you're going to hear from some outstanding people who have pulled together very disparate groups to solve community problems and how they've gone about doing that. And then the fourth and final session of the day is going to be civility in government, which Carl referred to, as did some of our other presenters today. And so I hope you can see how this is building so that we can all figure out how we can take action to turn things around. The sense I have, and I hope you're hearing, is that there's not a magic wand that any of us can wave. And when we started this effort some 7+ years ago, we were trying to influence from the top down, getting our leaders to change. And it soon became evident to me and others that this needs to be much more of a grassroots effort. And it starts, of course, with each of our own behavior. And so as you're looking for those three things that you're going to take away from these 2 days worth of conference, I hope one of them centers around your personal responsibility, your own behavior. And each of us have opportunities to improve, to treat the people that we come across, the people in our lives, in a better way. So consider that as you're hearing this. What can you own? What personal responsibility, in addition to what you already do, or you wouldn't be here, can you take on? So Tara, if you're hearing me, you're actually on deck because you're the one that signed in first. We are incredibly grateful to have Dr. Tara Suwinyattichaiporn with us today. Tara is a professor at California State University, Fullerton, where she teaches in the areas of research and communication. She is proficient in both quantitative and qualitative research methods, and her research titled Conceptualizing and Operationalizing Empathetic Expressions, Scale Development, Validation, and Message Evaluation. A theory and scale construction piece, it won a top paper award at the National Communication Association Convention. She has won 5 research-related grant awards between 2016 and 19. Dr. Tara also organizes the Cal State Fullerton Civil Dialogue events and has hosted public forums on free speech, gun ownership, transgender bathroom laws, and immigration laws. She worked as a mentor at Be a Leader Foundation in Arizona, mentoring senior high school students on college applications, admission process, and helping mentees locate domestic and international scholarships. She is a passionate educator, and when she's not working, she gives relational and sexual communication advice on her Instagram page and other news media outlets. You heard me relate to her civil dialogue training that she does. We'll get a chance to hear more from Jennifer Lindy of the Institute for Civil Dialogue, and I hope that's something else you'll pay particular attention to. So Tara, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being a part of this important conference.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the introduction, Raz. I'd like to start by saying that everyone on this panel, I am so honored to be on the same panel with you. And I am here to talk about the application of civil dialogue. So I am going to start by sharing my presentation. Can you see my slides?
Yeah, we can see your slide right now, so you're good. We can see your slide and you.
All right, so I shall get started. Technical difficulty, right? We're in a time where technical difficulty seems to be all too common, but hello, everybody. So I'm gonna get started. In a world where differences is often perceived under a magnifying glass and civility and similarity is often disregarded, it is the utmost important that we are here to discuss the principles and applications of civil dialogue, Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Tara Suwinyattichaiporn. I'm from Cal State Fullerton, and I'm here to talk about facilitating a civil dialogue event. I will first get started by a little background about who I am and why I'm here to talk about this. I am an assistant professor in human communication. I, in fact, did my Ph.D. at Arizona State University, where our moderator, Jen Lindy, was my professor in civil dialogue, how to facilitate a civil dialogue. So I was trained by Jennifer Lindy and Clark Olsen and John. When I finished my PhD, I got a tenure track job at Cal State Fullerton. I remember the first semester when I joined Cal State Fullerton, I thought I wanted to be able to host these civil dialogue events on my campus. And how can I do this? Because I know it does take a lot of work and sometimes money into promoting the event and hosting the event. So I went to the president's office at the time, and the president granted me a commission on equity and inclusion grant recipient. So I was awarded the grant, and I was able to organize annual civil dialogue events. So I've hosted the civil dialogue event both on campus and online. All of my events have always been really well attended with over 100, 150 attendees. So it was a very lively event for my community. I've done topics including immigration, transgender bathroom laws, free speech versus hate speech, gun control, and the latest one was on election integrity during the last presidential election. Again, wonderful turnout, lots of positive feedback, and that's why I'm so passionately here today to encourage everyone here to organize a civil dialogue event in your community. I believe it is a great tool for community building. So what is civil dialogue in this sense? Because it's a facilitation method. Civil dialogue is a structured public dialogue that facilitates and bridges differing viewpoints. It's a conversation, essentially, among community members, but it is directed by a facilitator and it is more structured. We have 5 chairs in which I call them chair participants, and it ranges from strongly agree to agree strongly to disagree strongly. And the chair participants offer their opinion on a controversial statement in which the facilitator and the host came up with. I believe it has unlimited potential. I have used civil dialogue method in my classroom, kind of doing a small version of civil dialogue event in my classroom. And honestly, it would work in any community engagement tasks with enough people to sit in the chairs and enough audience that are interested in a certain topic. And it would work in any controversial topic that people can form an opinion immediately. So civil dialogue, it may sound like a debate, but it is not a debate because the goal is not advocacy. Debate, you're advocating for one particular idea and you want to win, right? Debate is traditionally based on evidence, not necessarily opinion and how you feel. There is a winner in debate. There's no winner in civil dialogue because we don't focus on consensus. We focus on coexisting and listening, actively listening to one another. The nature of debate seems polarizing. The nature of the civil dialogue event is more of like coming together and sharing our different opinions and ideas. So some of the core concepts that makes it unique. The first one is statement of the day, and this is a necessity. You have to have a statement of the day, and it should be written in a way that people can immediately say, okay, I agree with that or disagree with that. There is an opening speech, of course, like any controversial topic. Some of us don't know enough about it. Some of us are not very informed. Some of us are perhaps misinformed. So the opening speech from the facilitator is really an informative way to tell the audience of what topic are we discussing, what is up to date about this topic, what's the current events about this topic. And then we have, of course, have to have a neutral facilitator. If we have an impartial facilitator, they can be biased, giving certain people more time. So just making sure that the facilitator is neutral on the topic. Chair participants, the participants that are on agree strongly, somewhat agree, neutral, disagree strongly, or somewhat disagree. They represent thought diversity, and that's the diversity that we're showcasing with the chair participants. Lastly, it's understanding over consensus. Like I said, we don't have to agree. We can peacefully coexist and, agree to disagree, but also try to understand the other point of view. So here's the setup on stage. On my campus, we typically host it in a large hall that has a stage. So the chair participants would sit on stage and the facilitator would be able to walk around, and then the host is at the podium. We, of course, have a fact checker, which is the function that I love, because even though it is about your opinion and how you feel about the topic, we still have a fact checker in case you're sharing something adamantly that we feel is a little off. We have a fact checker that double checks if that is in fact true. So the facilitator can kind of walk around and help facilitate, making sure nobody is hogging the mic and everyone gets almost like an equal amount of minutes of speaking. Some of the main rules are, number one, you can be passionate but not hostile. Of course, you're speaking about something that you care about deeply. You're going to be passionate, but we always make sure that people understand passionate and hostile is not the same thing. Truthful speech that does not attack others. We don't have a space for people to be attacking other people. You're there to share your opinion, ask questions, be inquisitive, and just passionately share your opinion about the topic. So there's no time to be attacking another person. And of course, listening respectfully while others speaks. I think this is the difference in debate too, because in debate, sometimes when the other person is debating, the other person is writing down things to counter, versus civil dialogues, just, you're 5 members of a community and you're sharing your opinion together. Here's just the quick steps. The host welcomes everybody in, talks a little bit about the importance of civil dialogue. The facilitator has an opening speech that reveals the statement of the day. And this is where I said that the facilitator reviews what is going on in terms of that topic. Then we call for volunteer chair participants. I have done this in 2 different ways. Organically, ask for volunteers to sit in the chairs, but I have also inquired people in advance to sit in those chairs due to some of these events being a really high-profile event, and I wanted to make sure that someone is sitting in that chair and is authentically sharing. Then the round starts. We review the timeline. Opening statement. So each chair participant has 1 minute to have an opening statement to why they're there. And then the core dialogue between the 5 participants is about 20 minutes. Audience participation. So after the core dialogue, we turn to audience, and this is where audience can do Q&A. They can also share their opinion, quick comment. So here is 20 minutes, 20 minutes. You can play around with it also depending on your event. And then lastly, the chair participants get to have a final statement, and it's 1 minute each. At the end, the facilitator wraps up, usually do like a quick debrief and a closing speech, and then the event ends. I'd like to leave you guys with this. I would like to encourage you to organize a civil dialogue event in your community. I believe that the civil dialogue principles allow you to peacefully coexist with others, practice mindfulness, practice emotional intelligence, and importantly, model proper behaviors in discussion with people that are different from you for the next generations to come. Thank you so much for attending this presentation. I hope that it was informative for you, and I hope that you can ask me questions about organizing a civil dialogue event during Q&A.
Tara, terrific. Thank you. We happen to have the Hot Topics Cool Heads book right here. Jennifer and Clark will be pleased to know that their protege, Caroline, brought it with her to this conference. And as you expressed, the civil dialogue event or exercise, if you will, is just such an effective way to let people be heard, know they've been heard. I've conducted now hundreds of these. I'm convinced you and I have learned from the very best with John and Jennifer and Clark. So thank you so much. And we'll have more time to talk this out a little bit later.